on the High Republic show, we're sitting down with Cavan, Scott, and Justina Ireland to talk about their most recent books, showing off a super cool, huge physical model of the Starlight Beacon that's gonna live exclusively in my garage, and most exciting of all, giant reveals for Wave 3 of the High Republic. Get hyped, y'all. The High Republic show starts right now. Start of the show's actually that way, my bad.
Over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice.
What's going on, High Republic fans? It's me, your old pal Krystina Ariel. And you're probably wondering right now, wait, it's the middle of the month. This show only happens at the end of the month every other month, to which I say, expect the unexpected. Star Wars is full of surprises, but the truth is we've got a lot to discuss this month, as well as reveal some High Republic Wave 3 exclusives. So let's jump into it, shall we, with a quick recap of where we are on the current High Republic timeline. Before the attack on the Republic Fair, Jedi Knight Lily Tora Asi trains at the temple outpost on the planet Banchi with other Padawans and Wookiee Jedi Master Arkoff. Investigating a noise, Lily takes the Padawans into the Banchi forest and discovers a bunch of small bird-like creatures. But they're not the source of the disturbance. It's the Drangir! The Jedi and Drangir battle, but thanks to some quick thinking by Lily, the Jedi are victorious. Something isn't sitting right with her. Lily comes to the realization that the Drangir were seeded there, but by whom? Elsewhere, the Jedi and Hutts have traveled to the Drangir seed planet where Skier leads an all-out assault on the sentient plants. But where's Avar? Well, she's on the Jedi cruiser Ataraxia above the planet, putting a call out to all available Jedi to come help. The Jedi arrive en masse, all in the name of the light side of the Force, blocking out the Drangir's hold on the dark side. This drives the Ultra Drangir, the Great Progenitor, mad, allowing the Hutts the opportunity to finally kill it. But Keeve gets in their way, which doesn't sit well with the Hutts out for plant blood. So they hightail it out of there, instead trying to settle things peacefully, as Hutts do. Oh, and then the Republic Fair gets attacked. The Nihil are back, baby! And if you want to read more about that attack and its tragic aftermath, check out Cavan Scott's The Rising Storm. But you don't have to take my word for it. But what about my favorite Wayseeker, Orla Jarini? Well, I'm glad you asked, because she's out on patrol. But uh-oh, her ship is attacked by a Nihil cloud ship piloted by Keeve and Tarek. Say, what? Yep, turns out they're undercover thanks to Avar Kriss, and they put out a Nihil distress signal to lure in more Nihil. It works in the Jedi and Nihil battle in the stars. A Star War, if you will. Anyway, in a remote part of the galaxy, Sylvester Yarrow, a plucky young hauler, is piloting her ship, the Switchback, along with her crew, you know, as you do in space. When they're unexpectedly ejected from hyperspace and attacked by the Nihil, everyone wants to abandon ship, but Sylvester insists on fighting because this old broken down hunk of junk is the last thing she has that reminds her of her dead mother, Chansey. Aww. But they have to escape anyway. Aww. Meanwhile, on the Starlight Beacon, Vernestra Rowe learns that Stellan Gios and the rest of the Jedi Council have a task for her on Coruscant. Oh, and Avar lets Vern know that she shouldn't let Stellan know that her saber doubles as a light whip, because handsome as he is, that boy is old-fashioned. Later on Coruscant, Sylvester Yarrow is trying to let the Republic know about the Nihil, but like, the Republic don't care. So she goes to a sketchy cantina and meets Zylan Graf, who offers her to stay in his personal tower, but she's like, nah dude, I'm gonna get a hotel. But she's attacking her hotel and hightails it over to Zylan's tower, where she learns that the Nihil are not only pulling ships out of hyperspace, but they've built an artificial gravity well, which was designed by, Syl's mother! Another Star Wars character is presented with conflicting feelings about their parent. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Meanwhile, Nan the Nihil is given a mission by Marchion Ro, take Mari Santeca to the Gravity's Heart, which is what they call Syl's mom's invention, but we'll get back to that later. The Jedi, now accompanied by a local Santeca deputy named Jordana, who happens to be Syl's ex, awkward, has agreed to meet with Zylan and Silvestri to seek out the weapon, but are double-crossed when they head to the compound to pick up their ships. The Jedi get knocked out and Syl and the Padawans get kidnapped. Don't worry, the Jedi will wake up and then they go on a rescue mission. During the mission, Syl meets her mom, who turns out isn't dead, but is also working with the Nihil, and she wants Syl's help. Obviously, she passes on her mom's offer. Meanwhile, Vern finds Mari Santeca, who gives her the path to the mysterious planet beyond the edge of space, where nobody's gone for a really long time. What planet is it? Why doesn't Stellan like light whips? And how are Syl and Jordana gonna get along now that they've agreed to rekindle their relationship? It's these questions that keep me reading. What's that? The giant model that's just sitting here and appeared out of nowhere? It's just a model of the Starlight Beacon at my house! And I'm gonna run behind it and look at every single solitary detail. But while I do that, why don't you look at how this model was filled with both light and life? Star Wars! Holy crap! It lights up down here!
I'm Phil Shostak. I'm a creative art manager at Lucasfilm. The Starlight Beacon, it's symbolic of the Republic and the Jedi's presence in the Outer Rim. It's literally kind of like a beacon, a light showing that the Jedi are here and they are going to help and bring light to the darker corners of the galaxy. It was amazing to hear that there was a model being built for something, especially out of a publishing initiative, which is not something that we normally do. Starlight Beacon, obviously a perfect subject for that model building.
My name is Jason Eaton. I am a model maker and I like to make filming miniature replicas and originals from Star Wars and other films. Lucasfilm reached out to me and they wanted to know if I would make a model for a new publishing initiative. And that is a dream come true because that means I can make something from nothing and work with concept art and work with the team and create something truly original. And making a space station is even crazier to me because there's not a lot of space stations floating around in Star Wars.
For the High Republic, it's kind of going back almost into a more medieval time, and this era only being several hundred years prior to the prequel era when we first saw the Jedi Temple. A lot of that Jedi Temple aesthetic could then be carried over into Starlight Beacon especially, so that it evokes something that viewers are familiar with in a way that's kind of subtle.
I used 3D design to make a substructure, and from there use traditional model making methods like styrene, model kit parts, pulling model kits that are well known in the Star Wars universe to keep it in universe, to keep the design aesthetic consistent, but also fresh because this is, again, a new section of the universe we've never seen before.
The concept art of Starlight Beacon, just by the nature of it being a painting, is going to have some qualities to it that when you then translate it into something physical, there's always going to be little quirks that then need to be kind of worked out or ironed out. And Jason was initially working in 3D, which tends to want to make everything symmetrical, and it's really easy to build things symmetrically. And I'm glad that we retained a bit of the asymmetry because a lot of the classic Star Wars models have asymmetries kind of inherent. Lines aren't very straight because they're all being crafted by hand.
I like to use model parts that other model makers are going to identify and appreciate and go like, I get that. I had a scrap of cool shade material left over from the production for the first Star Wars, and this is what was used in the TIE fighters in the first films. And I thought it'd be really cool emotionally to cut some of these pieces up and put them into the model. And I had a hangar bay to make. One of the ships in the hangar bay is from the Clone Wars. It's an old Jedi cruiser, so I thought perhaps this would have been like a newer ship in the High Republic. The other ship is the Dowager Queen, and it is the crash ship on Tatooine on the way to the Cantina, and it's a colony ship apparently. So I thought, how cool would it be if that ship, or a ship like it, was sitting in the far, far back of the hangar bay? And I might have actually added my initials somewhere on the ship. I did sign my work, and I'll leave it at that. As the model was progressing and most of the final pieces had been put together, I was asked to measure it and give it a canon dimension. And that was kind of an exciting email to get. And it's roughly, I think, about the size of like a good sized Star Destroyer. That was actually pretty fun. That was neat.
And what Jason has done with this model is really astounding. The many months of work that he put into it really shows in the final product. It's an amazing piece of work and definitely stands side by side with all of the best Star Wars models that have been created.
All in all, this was an incredible experience. It's something I'm always going to be very excited to talk about because it is the dream come true for someone like me, someone from my generation and interest group. And I had a blast working on it, really every step of the way. And I look forward to doing more in the future if possible. I'm always going to be here with a smile on my face, ready to help.
Well, I'm very excited to talk to my panel of guests this month, especially because they both have two brand new books that we haven't had the chance to dive into all the spoilery details of yet. Well, that all changes right now. Please welcome Britain's #1 Jackson fan and author of The Rising Storm, Cavan Scott. She conjured up my favorite light whip-wielding Jedi, Vernestra Rowe. Please welcome Out of the Shadows author, Justina Ireland. And finally, the one who keeps this ragtag group together and hits them with all sorts of notes, from Lucasfilm Publishing, Jennifer Heddle. Welcome, y'all.
Hello there.
Thank you. Great to be here.
It's so good to see you all. I feel like I haven't seen you in so long, so I figure we should jump into it. Congratulations on being New York Times best-selling authors and stuff. I have to ask, what does it feel like to actually see that printout and know that you are a New York Times best-selling author?
Did you celebrate properly, Cav, or did you?
I had a cup of tea. It was very nice, and what I did is I added a biscuit to the side. It was lovely, but yes, I think I whooped.
Did you say you whooped?
Yes, that's what we do over here, you know.
So So I'm gonna jump right into these questions because I have quite a few. I'm gonna start with our dear Jen Heddle. What's the High Republic editing experience?
At the end of the day, it's just about working with the author to tell the story the best way that we can, and that really doesn't change. What makes this different is we have multiple authors writing simultaneously in this very specific time period where everything that happens really does affect everything else. For example, the Del Rey novel and the middle grade are telling the same story at the same time, but from different points of view. And so keeping track of just all of the details it's a lot of work.
For anyone that may be interested in possibly becoming an editor, what's your process when you go into these stories?
I will do a first read through and take notes while I'm doing that. And that's sort of what we call like a developmental edit. And then the next round tends to be a little more what I would call cosmetic. Just like tweaking, line editing, turns of phrase. That's the general process. You kind of do that deep dive edit first, and then you kind of go back and fine tune.
Well, thank you for telling us about the general process and the general process. Oh, I'm moving on, I promise. My favorite book in Star Wars is Dooku Jedi Lost. And in Dooku Jedi Lost, there is a reference to a Trinus as one of the Lost 20. So I have to ask, now that we've seen Keeve's path kind of veer off and take her to the door of the Nile in the comics, is this an origin story of Master Jedi Trinus? Listen, I told you I was going to ask you the question whether you could answer it or not, because I'm going to look for facial cues, but you have a really great poker face, so this isn't working the way that I thought it was going to. I just want to throw it out there and see if I can get any tea on that.
There is a Master Trinus in Dooku Jedi Lost, yes.
Justina.
Oh, don't ask me!
Oh no, Justina, this is actually about your girl Vernestra.
Oh, okay, I could answer that.
Everyone knows that Vernestra is a great Jedi, but what is her struggle, would you say?
No, I think that she is. I think when you are firmly a part of something, whether it's, a Jedi or like your soccer team, I think you ask those questions. We keep forgetting, like, even though Vernestra is a Jedi, she's young, it's like she's seen all of like not much of the galaxy. Like she's a little sheltered, right? And so I do think it's natural when you're part of an organization to kind of ask those questions of like, what is my role here? Like, where do I fit into the bigger scheme of things? But that's also a very like 16, 17, 18-year-old person questions to ask. She still is participating in a very fraught time in the galaxy. And you have to wonder like, am I doing enough? The pandemic was a little different for everybody, but for me, the pandemic was really a time to like stop and kind of reflect and wonder like, who am I in this world and what do I bring to this world? Like, am I doing enough? Can I volunteer more? Am I vaccinated? And the answer is yes. But I think it's also important to do it in just our daily lives. And I think there's no better person to do it than a Jedi, right? They love meditating. Like, meditate on who you are as a person. And we see that with some of the other characters as well, right? We see Comac Vitus is also a character who's kind of pondering his existence as a Jedi, but also as a living creature in the galaxy.
I love that. Of the High Republic stories that you've written, is there a particular moment in these stories, even if it's not a character that you've written, that stays with you?
I don't know how spoilery I can get, but in The Rising Storm, Elzar goes through things, and the story in that surprised me was how he dealt with what he did. Elzar asking for help was a massive thing for me, especially at a time when I was probably a little bit swamped and we were in the middle of this entire pandemic thing that's been going on, and I probably wasn't asking for help. Elzar's moment to turn to say, I need to talk to my friend and I need to talk to them now, that was really important to me. And it's been great to see that reflected in other people online as well, and they've been talking about the book. So I thought it was really important.
And it is. I'm really glad that that's something that you've touched on. In the same way that we see the common thread of grief, to see someone asking for help is extremely powerful, and that's part of the thing that I love so much about what you all are doing with this. Justina, what story sticks out for you?
I've really enjoyed Keeve and Skier's relationship. We don't necessarily have the best, like, master Padawan relationships. And so I do think it's nice to see how it is to really connect with your mentor. I don't think I've ever been in a relationship where a mentor has been a mentor if I didn't get along with them, right? It's really hard to ask somebody like, teach me all your ways when you're like, I can't stand them. And so I really have enjoyed seeing that develop and watching Cav handle those characters quite expertly.
And also handling Keeve's hair, because we love a hair change.
Also, Black doesn't do that. We're like, what you see this week might be something different next week, so.
Oh, and I love that. It makes me so excited. It's like the moment when you saw Lula Talasola wake up and take her headscarf off. Things that may seem little, but from a representation standpoint, they are powerful because it is something that you don't see often. And I know me personally, those things do mean quite a bit. So to see how much thought you all put into what may seem like a little moment or may seem like a little thing, but to see those transitions, to see Keeve's hair change. There are a lot of cultural aspects that I think are very powerful, and I appreciate what you all are doing.
Yeah, it was always part of the plan with Keeve that what you see on day one isn't what you're going to get all the way through. Because she is going to be a character, and no spoilers to what's coming, but she's going to go through a lot of changes in her life.
It just shows the growth of the characters as they're going through these trials, literal Jedi trials. But it's great to see those moments. Now, Jen, the last time that we spoke, you were all in on Reef. So I have to ask, is there another character that has come along and touched your heart in the same way as Reef? Or are you still Reef number one?
I think I'm still Wreath number one, and I'm basing that both on books that have already been published and books that have not yet. However, I have also become extremely attached to Bell, partially because I am still emotionally destroyed by what happened to him in the Rising Storm. And I have like my little Bell and Wreath I must protect them at all costs club.
But Bell is protected by Ember at all times.
That is true. And that's part of what I love about Bell also, because I love the relationship he has with Ember. So.
Oh, I don't want to say that I love Ember because Cavan is sitting here. I don't want to give him in.
I don't just go around killing everyone's favourite characters. I kill people's second favourite characters as well.
So speaking of upcoming works, both of you are working on the Star Wars Life Day one-shot. But in this, Justina, you get to write one of our favorites. What was that like for you to take over the reins of Burry?
Snuggly. I was like, who doesn't want to snuggle a Wookiee? The problem is writing dialogue for a Wookiee is a little, let's just say, my husband thought I was dying at one point because I was trying to sound out Wookiee dialogue. And he came in my office. He's like, what is happening in here? And I was like, just writing a Wookiee dialogue.
It's Shriwalk!
I'm now fluent in Shriwalk, so.
You all have been writing a lot for a long time. What is something that you do to reinvigorate yourself when it feels like your creativity is escaping you or you have a bit of writer's block? Justina?
Oh, I love trash television. I watch a lot of trash television. So sometimes my husband's like, are you working? Because it's like the middle of the day. But I'm going to be invigorated and refreshed after I'm done.
I also watch a lot of what could be termed as trash TV. So I love that answer. I think maybe I'm just trying to spin my TV addiction as crucial to my work process, but I'm going to go with that.
Cavan?
I think there is a fix built into the High Republic and how we're working. The fact that we've got so many different types of writing. Sometimes you can give yourself a boost by completely changing the type of story you're telling. And that's why this has worked so well for those moments.
So I'm going to end this by asking you all, what is it that you, be it one of your books or one of the other books in the series, what are you most excited about going into this, finishing out this wave and going into the next in January?
I'm most looking forward to the reaction online when these books come out. It can be very sort of lonely reading these books and not having a lot of people to discuss them with. So I just can't wait for it all to be out there.
I suppose linked to that, I'm really excited about Phase 2, which we're spending a lot of time talking about behind the scenes and working on at the minute. So we're always in that weird time warp where the stuff that's coming out now actually seems like it was a while ago for us. So that's the bit I'm probably most excited about at the minute.
Like Cav said, it's really weird. Out of the Shadows just came out last month, but it feels like it's been like a lifetime. Because there's like, okay, cool, I did that. Now it's like on to the next thing.
One thing that I've truly enjoyed is the fact that all of you are so interactive with the fan community. I know it's difficult because there's so much stuff that you can't say, but I love that you all do try to interact in a way that the High Republic portion of the internet is a very nice place. So thank you all for that, from the community to your earballs.
I return that thanks because you're saying that kind of makes me realize that that's, I think, what really recharges me, because we work really hard and really long hours. So sometimes I'll just go onto Twitter and see fun, positive posts and Lego figures and people screaming out their emotions about the High Republic. And that really does give me a boost and the drive to keep going. So I also say thank you to all of you.
And I want to say thank you for all of you being here with us today. It is always a pleasure to talk with you, no matter what the medium. I'm still trying to get in on that High Republic group chat, but I know there's too many spoilers for me, but okay. And I hope you all have a great day, and can't wait to see what you do next. So it's come to my attention that the High Republic fans on the internet have a lot of questions about the series, and since I like to help people and have the ability to conjure up High Republic experts with a snap of my finger, I have summoned all the power of the internet to bring you the answer to your #THRS questions. Are you ready? I summoned Kelsey Sharp from the Lucasfilm story group from wherever you may be. Hi, Kelsey. I hope I didn't catch you in the middle of anything important.
Oh, no, it was fine. I was just in the story group holding pen waiting to be summoned.
Well, since you're here, I have one of the most asked questions about the High Republic era for you to hopefully answer. Are you okay? So here it is. Bo Murphy asks, are personal and emotional attachments, including marriage, still forbidden within the High Republic era's Jedi Order?
While the High Republic Jedi Order does represent some broader perspectives than the more dogmatic order of the prequels, the big tenets remain the same. That doesn't mean that they don't feel love or friendship. I think they need those emotions in order to serve the Force. But ultimately, a Jedi's most important relationship is the one that they have with the Force. And if a personal attachment risks eclipsing that vow that they made to preserve balance, that's when they risk heading down the path to the dark side. But what I will say is that every Jedi is different. Only they know for themselves where that line is. A romance that for one Jedi might constitute an unwise attachment, for another Jedi might actually strengthen their relationship to the Force by reminding them of the connections between all living beings and the importance of an individual in addition to the cosmic perspective. At the end of the day, a Jedi has to ask themselves, are my emotions controlling me, or am I in control of my emotions? Is this going to help me serve the Force, or is this just serving my own ego?
Well, how story group of you to answer one question and then leave us with more.
It's what we do.
Thank you so much for joining me, Kelsey. I now release you to do whatever it is you were doing before you appeared on the show. Nothing happened.
Oh, I think you have to press the button. Snapping only works to summon me.
Oh, okay, hold on. This one. Unlimited power! And speaking of unlimited power, it's time for High Republic exclusive reveals! To kick things off, how about some of those character posters you've grown to love? First, we have the Nile baddie, Cara Zhu, the Quarren commander of the starship the Poison Barb, part of Kasav's Tempest unit. And is there a doctor in the house? Maybe a bad doctor? Like the Nile's Dr. Mkampa, this is your first look at the Bad Doctor's character poster. What a terrifying duo. But where will these new characters pop up? And what will they do? You'll have to keep reading to find out. Moving on, we've all been enjoying the High Republic since its debut in January, but as we draw closer to the end of 2021, we also draw closer to the end of the first phase of the story. Which means a whole new phase is about to begin, baby! As the first phase draws to a close, we're stoked to announce IDW's High Republic Adventures Annual, where for the first time ever, all 5 lead story architects of the High Republic are working together on one book. That means Charles Soule, Claudia Gray, and Justina Ireland are working on an IDW book for the first time, along with Cavan Scott and Daniel Jose Older. The High Republic Adventures Annual features characters and stories from across all of the High Republic, from daring Jedi, the nefarious Nile, and everyone's favorite Rock and Rock, Geode. With art by Sam Beck, Jason Liu, Yael Nathan, Jesse Longren, and Stefano Simone, the High Republic Adventures Annual will have something for everyone when it arrives this December. And speaking of IDW, High Republic Adventures number 11 has a brand new cover to feast your eyeballs on, featuring a glorious heroic shot of all your favorites. Over at Marvel, we have not one, not two, but 3 reveals for you coming this January. First is the cover for the High Republic number 13 that features Avar Kriss, hand outstretched, lightsaber ignited, and ready for action. And you can read the words and look at the pictures of said action on January 5th, 2022. Next up, we have the 4th issue of the new miniseries Trail of Shadows featuring Emmerich and a big old scary villain behind him, which coincidentally also releases on January 5th. Also check out the cover for Marvel's The High Republic, The Eye of the Storm, where we see Marchion Ro looking like Scar on Pride Rock with his helmet off, brandishing Loden Greatstorm's lightsaber. R.I.P. my dude. You've all already no doubt seen the San Diego Comic-Con panel where the authors revealed the titles of their novels and the temporary book cover. That was just a giant black block with a title on it. Well, the black voids are gone and have been replaced by final cover art. Get hyped, y'all! We're about to blow the lid off this mother. The cover for Daniel Jose Older's book Midnight Horizon looks appropriately ominous with 2 Jedi walking on a gloomy planetscape. If you just picked up the manga Edge of Balance, you'll be happy to know that Volume 2 is on the way. And now you get your first look at the cover for the digital-only release from Shima Shinya and Daniel Jose Older coming February 2022. For my next trick of turning a black cover into fully realized art, let's take our first look at Justina Ireland's cover for her next middle grade novel, Mission to Disaster, where my girl Vernestra has her lightsaber switched to blade mode instead of whip mode. You do you, girl. Finally, we have the cover for Claudia Gray's The Fallen Star, where we see Orla, Burryaga, Stellan, Bell, and Indira looking stoic with their sabers drawn. But there's some ominous broken glass and smoke that may or may not be from fire and or explosions behind them. But what does it mean? You can find out for yourself in 2022. Wow, I can't wait for this next wave of books. Hopefully all the hard work and time that was put into building the Starlight Beacon model from earlier in the show will be worth it. You know, because big beloved space stations in Star Wars. Oh well. And with that, we come to the end of another thrilling High Republic show adventure. I'll be back in November with more reveals, spoilers, Q&A talk, and all that fun stuff you've come to expect from the High Republic show. Remember to like the video, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and as always, may the Force be with you.